Welcome back. It's Sports Talk on the Express edition here on Atlantic Television Network. And with me on the program this Christmas Day is Kelechi Clifford. Kelechi Clifford is one of South best in sports. Welcome, Kelechi. Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Merry Christmas as well.
Okay, we'll get started. And of course, the National Institute of Sports have secured partnership with the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps on the development of their sportsmen and women for optimal performance. Will you think this is a good initiative from the National Institute of Sports trying to ensure that the Civil Defense Corps is fit enough to perform their duties?
Yeah, it's a very, very welcome development. The Nigerian Security Services, of course, would embrace this partnership with both hands. NIS is a very, very important partner for sports development, and sports is a very, very interesting part of the world. It's a very, very interesting sector, and the service corps would definitely be looking forward to embracing it. So many coaches can actually come out of this. So many of them would also get certified as well, and we know how growing sports is in this part of the world, and anybody can actually embrace it if you actually give them this opportunity. And like you talked about the fitness as well, it's important that they also get fit as well to do their job, because as a security personnel, you need to be fit, and sports is one way you can actually also get fit, because you need to be fit to play sports and to participate in sports. So it's a good thing that this is happening, and I'm really pleased with the news that I heard that they were going to be partnering with the NSDC as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what can actually come out of it, and also the athletes and the people who can actually benefit from this too, and it can actually help Nigeria in the long run.
Talking about the National Institute of Sports led by Comrade Shaibu Philip. He was in the office of the Commandant of the Civil Defense Corps following the graduation of members of the Civil Defense Corps at the as part of the 495 that just graduated at the. So if you understand, there was a basic coaching certificate award and course at weekend, and we saw that the 5 coaches from the Nigerian Civil Defense Corps were amongst those that graduated from the institute. We say congratulations to the 5 coaches, and I do hope that further number will be will see increased aftermath of that experience between, I say, partnership between the National Institute of Sports and the Civil Defense Corps. Meanwhile, the newly appointed chairman of the Medical and Doping Standing Committee in the board of the Nigerian Wrestling Federation, Dr. Okoye Timepri, has expressed unwavering commitment following his appointment by the president of Nigeria Wrestling Federation, Bashir Adewale Adeniyi. This is coming for Dr. Okoye in a statement acknowledged that a huge trust has been reposed on him by the president, saying he is committed to giving his very best, making very meaningful contribution to the federation under the custom board's leadership. Dr. Okoye, who is also a board member of the Nigerian Wrestling Federation, explaining the goals and missions of the current board, saying that through efforts in ensuring that it monitors effectively the implementation of World Anti-Doping Code and international scientific standards. Kelechi, Wrestling Federation here involved in sanitizing its members of their system. We've not had a major scandal in wrestling as we've seen in the other sports. Should be a standard to maintain. Kelechi, can you hear me?
So continue in that fashion. Usually we used to get in doping scandals. Yes, I don't know if you can hear me.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
In that status quo of not having major scandals in the wrestling part of sports, because we're already used to having doping scandals in the athletics or any other field of sport, and the new director who's actually coming definitely is going to ensure that he maintains that. And it's important that some of these players, they get checked, they run their usual tests, and they are aware of the substance that are banned that they should not be taken in the long run. I'm pretty sure that if you're an athlete, you should be aware of that. So in the wrestling part, Dr. Ko is definitely going to ensure that he maintains that fashion that we've not had any doping scandal so far in the wrestling, and I'm sure he's definitely honored by this appointment and is looking forward to seeing what he can actually do to achieve. So it's a welcome development for Timothy Okoye, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he manages his time as the director.
Meanwhile, with the final buzzer fast approaching, the outgoing board of the Nigerian Basketball Federation appears to be running a frantic full court press, not to save Nigeria basketball, but to save itself. At the 31st of January 2026, we understand it looms an unforgivable shot clock, allegations flying that the current board is scheming to extend its stay in office after, let's say, last minute effort to extend their tenure. Kelechi, it's a lot of people have criticized this present board of the Nigerian Basketball Federation of one thing or the other, but it has been left to run till the end of its tenure, which is coming up in the next few weeks from now. Just about 3 weeks or so is left for this board. But a lot of people believe that there has been pressure on the, I'd rather say the present board is trying to scheme itself to see how they can extend their tenure. Do you think, having served their full tenure, there should be some kind of tinkering with the tenureship of this board?
First of all, it's actually a crazy scenario at this point in time. The NBF, because of what has been happening between the Kida section and the other Igochi that actually won the election in different locations before somehow way Kida actually had to be recognized by FIBA, and that was how the sports minister started working with Kida. And now the tenure is actually running out of time, and there's been so much crisis. There has been calls for him to actually leave, and he doesn't want to do that. And there are also rumors of him actually doing a third tenure, and he has also denied that. That is the interesting part of this particular situation that is unfolding. He's denied any extension of his tenure, and so let's hope that that is going to be the case, because we all know how political things can actually be in this part of the world when it comes to sports and also in politics as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing the changes that will be made before the 30th or the 31st of January, when his tenure officially elapsed, and he has been there since 2022, and it is actually time for someone else to come in and to develop the NBF and to also take charge of that particular sector of sports. And Kida had actually not really done bad, but I think there's been so much to look at to criticize during his tenure. There's been little or no improvement in the basketball sector. Side of things, and I'm pretty sure that he's aware of that, and the pressure for him to step down has always been there. But let's see what happens and what unfolds in the next couple of weeks, because there is no time again, and the tenure has to come to an end, and I have to respect that.
Well, talking about the tenure of Kida in the last few years, will you say basketball has grown, especially on the grassroots? Yes, we've seen the D-Tigers, D-Tigress, the male and female national basketball team. They've barely been, into competitions. They have not qualified. Yes, but do you think that that it's time for there to be a change, given that there's been very few, activities on the local scene in basketball, and on the international scene, it looks like we are beginning to decline as well because of a lack of qualification for crucial stages of world basketball?
I would say there's been little or no improvement, and which is the disappointing part of why they will really want him out, especially in the bigger scene where you expect Nigerians, especially the D Tigers, to actually do well. They didn't really do well, although the D Tigers actually gave a good run, especially in the World Cup and the Olympics as well. But the D Tigers failing to also qualify for big competitions actually was disappointing. And we have so much talent in this particular side of sports. Nigeria has so many good basketballers, even those playing in Europe, but yet there was nothing to show for it. The organization and sometimes late preparations for tournaments as well under the watch of Kida was actually a disappointing factor as to why so many people want something really different this time around, and that's why I would say that it's actually been a poor performance so far from his tenure. During this tenure, there was no notable change or anything spectacular happening, and I can understand the frustration. I can understand why there's pressure for him to actually leave. And sometimes when you want to leave, you want to leave on a good note, but it's too late. And I think the ship has sailed. So something needs to happen. A new development has to be welcomed.
Well, I think that the new development has to be welcomed. In the words of Kelechi there, we have to see develop more from basketball. Right now, it looks like it's been one altercation and the other quarrels here and there, and this president has not been allowed to perform because they are in and out of court. And when they are out of court, there's further pressure, and it has not affected. In fact, it has affected development of basketball on the local scene, even on the international scene, will begin to have complaints. So I think it's high time there be a new election, and for that election, will throw in new faces that will be rancor free. Talking about basketball, you have to look at developments from the NBA, which is the pinnacle of basketball, if you ask me. Yesterday, we saw Philadelphia 76ers lose at home, Kelechi. They were losers to Brooklyn Nets in that one, ended 105 to 114. What do you make of Brooklyn Nets going to Philadelphia to beat the 76ers?
That's a shocking result from all standards. We all know how struggling Brooklyn Nets have been all season, and it's actually a huge loss for Philadelphia, knowing that they had just a back-to-back wins in the previous 2 games, just coming off winning New York Knicks and now losing to Brooklyn Nets is really surprising, and I'm sure Nick Nurse will be shocked by that loss. Not sure Joel Embiid also participated in that one, but they've got good players. Edgecombe was there, Tyrese Maxey was there, and so we expect them to get the results any day, even if it's twice on Sunday against Brooklyn Nets. So it's a disappointing result at home in front of their home fans, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they bounce back. But they've had a wonderful turnaround so far this season. I've been really impressed with them. But just one of those games where you just lose and you take your opponent for granted, and it punishes you at the end of the day.
How disappointing has it been for Indiana Pacers? They lost at home. Milwaukee Bucks beating them by 98 to 111 points. Home defeat for the Pacers.
Yeah, it gets really bad for Pacers this season. I know that they've lost a couple of good players. Tyrese Haliburton is no longer there. He's going to miss a huge part of the season. And of course, they're losing Miles Turner to this same Milwaukee Bucks that they played against. So actually a huge loss for them. These are 2 important players who actually played a huge role in their push for the playoffs last season. And now, without those 2 players, they've just been a shadow of themselves, struggling to win games. And it's always a surprise whenever you see Pacers win games. And at home as well, you expect them to also beat the struggling Milwaukee Bucks. That was a chance for them to actually get back to winning ways. But Bucks, of course, 2 struggling teams, you expect Bucks to just nick the edge because they've been at least a little just bit consistent than the Pacers. And so it's been a terrible season. I really don't know if there were pressures on the manager to be changed, but Pacers need to find a way to win, and it's already looking very late because things are starting to shape up just before the playoff. And I'm interested to see if they can actually do that before the end of the season.
Well, talking about home loss, one of the teams that lost at home yesterday in the NBA, and Toronto Raptors, of all names, beat them 114 points to 91. In Miami Heat, what do you think is the problem this season?
Something is just not right with Eric Spoelstra's team. They've got a couple of wonderful players. I really see them as an exciting team to watch with some of the additions, which I was looking forward to. Sometimes they need some wins, especially away from home. Sometimes they're actually very good and unpredictable. I think they are very, very unpredictable this time around. But the huge improvement, the notable factor about Miami this season is the fact that they are more offensive than defensive. We all know how defensive Miami can be with Bam Adebayo. They are very, very defensive side, the way they set up. But now they've been more offensive. And I think it can be really difficult when you're trying to switch from a pattern to another pattern, and you end up getting open and defensively, the pot shot, it's not something that they are used to. Maybe that's why they're still struggling a bit. But overall, they've actually had a first season, if you ask me. I like the way they play this time around. Sometimes you want to watch people score points rather than block shots or defense shots. And that's one thing I like about this new Miami Heat I'm seeing this season, despite the loss against Toronto Raptors.
Well, let's look at a match that saw just 1 point difference. Dallas Mavericks having just a point difference between them and Denver Nuggets. Nuggets had 130 points with Mavericks from Dallas having 131 points. 1 point good enough for the home side to have the win over their counterparts from Mavericks.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very wonderful game to watch. So many points scored. Nikola Jokic, of course, doing what he can do, but it wasn't just good enough. They're just coming off a win against Utah Jazz the previous night, and then coming to Dallas to lose by 1 point really hurts them because they've actually had a wonderful run. I think they've nicked 6 wins in a row before that loss. Now it's just them picking up 1 win from 3. They lost recently to Houston Rockets before they won Utah Jazz and now losing to Dallas Mavericks. So it's really been a bad run in the last 3 games for them, but not to worry. I think they're actually a wonderful side. But Dallas Mavericks needed that win. Of course, they've been struggling all season with the injuries that they've had, but it's good to have Anthony Davis back, and they have some of their players, and even a new addition, Flag, who's actually been pulling up good points for them. And so Dallas Mavericks needed that win. Their side, who you expect them to challenge for the title every time around, the owner, after trading Luka Doncic to Lakers, said defense wins your championship. So I'm really impressed with that statement. I'm really impressed with that win. I want to see what Dallas can actually do, especially since losing Luka Doncic last season to the Lakers. And definitely, if you beat Nuggets, it's always a big statement when you beat one of the best teams in NBA.
Talking about big statement reminds me of the LA Clippers Houston Rockets fight match. It was a big win for LA Clippers. They beat Houston by 128 points to 108 points. 20 points gap between the Clippers and Rockets from Houston.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I think that was one of the surprising results of the night because Clippers this season have been blowing hot and cold, and you expect Rockets under Ume Udoka to get that win. They were favourites all night. Rockets actually had a bad game, if you ask me. But it's important to note that Clippers actually are a solid side on their day, and it's good that they have some of their key players back. Kawhi Leonard was also a late recent push to make them even stronger, and of course they have James Harden, so we expect them, even Collins as well. So these are 3 key players for the Clippers, and they were really instrumental in the way against Houston Rockets. At home, we expect the Clippers to at least play well, and they didn't just play well, they got the win. So I'm impressed with them. The amount of points that they had against Houston Rockets was also impressive. So nobody expected that result. I think that's one result that shocked everybody, and let's see if they can build from this win as well in the Western Conference.
Talking about results, we're talking about LA Clippers, LA Lakers. They didn't get it at all in their match yesterday. Phoenix Suns beat them 108 points to 108 points. Is it coming to an end for the legendary basketball player?
I think every time he plays, you just know that we don't know how long it's going to be because age is not on his side. And despite age not being on his side, he has not really done bad. He's coming from injury, from a back injury. He scored 30 plus points in the previous game, even though it wasn't enough. It was a defeat for them to the same Clippers. And now losing against the Phoenix Suns. I know that they're missing just one important player, Austin Reeves. But LeBron James still has it in him, but I would just say he just has maybe just one more season to play. He's still playing his best basketball. Age is just a number for LeBron James because when I watch him, he still puts in 100%. Even he still carries the team despite having some also good players around him. And I think we're going to definitely miss him when his time is up. But I still am inspired by what he's still doing at this stage, even at this age, and still hungry for more, still wants to win something, and it will be really impressive if he can actually win something, especially with Luka Doncic being at his very best now and Austin Reeves. So let's just see what he can actually do and how he can actually lead this Lakers side to another NBA title.
Well, that will be it for this half of the show. We'll be definitely back in a jiffy. When we return from a break, we'll look into football. The African Cup of Nations, the 35th edition, is lighting up the cities of Morocco and the rest of Africa and the world as well. We'll bring you some of the results, interesting match results last night. And beyond that, we'll look across to Europe where the teams are beginning to re-strategize for next season. You know, the Christmas break is here. In La Liga, there's been break. In the Premier League, there's been break. But for the Carabao Cup, we'll look at some of aftermaths of the features of the Carabao Cup quarter-final and some more coming from world football. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and together with Kelechi, we'll bring you up to speed with the latest happening around the world of sports. And now let's get to athletics. And one big news is coming to Africa from the world of athletics. Just it is said to take center stage on global athletics calendar, because we understand Botswana prepares to host the 2026 World Athletics Relays, the first time this championship will stage on African soil. Kelechi, World Athletics Relay is coming to Africa next year, and it's delightful for Moses Bansi, who is the chairman of the competition. I don't know how excited you are that the World Relays is coming to Botswana, Africa for the very first time. Do you think Africa is capable of delivering a world-class World Relay Championship, which we have seen, from the rest of from the other parts of the world?
Yeah, first of all, it's actually a good news. It's a welcome development for Africa, and for it to be trusted in Africa, it means that they are capable of doing that. And we've seen a couple of good athletes come up from Botswana. We're aware of that, and so Botswana, of course, is a country that we're looking forward to making Africa proud. We've seen so many countries in Africa actually host major tournaments. South Africa is actually capable of that. Morocco is capable of that. But for Botswana, it's actually something that is not used to. If we're not used to that, I'm looking forward to seeing how they actually cope with it. At the World Athletics Relay is actually an interesting event, and all attention will be in Botswana. I believe that they definitely will be relishing this opportunity and seeing that they actually build from it and also deliver, the trust that have been put on them for this World Athletics Relay competition coming up.
World Athletics Relay coming to Africa for the first time, and it will be hosted by Botswana. Gaborone, the capital of Botswana, will see this event on the 2nd of May to the 3rd, 2026. And we understand some of the world's fastest teams will be coming to Botswana to define the moment for us in Africa. Botswana is not a bad country when it comes to athletics. They've produced some of the world stars you can remember, Kelechi.
Not at all, not at all. It's not. If you look at Botswana, I think when it comes to relay race, they're actually also one of the best as well. We know how they've actually done in the previous competitions as well. So I think it's also one of the deciding factor and one of the things that I'm looking forward to seeing from them, if they can actually not just host the competition as well, but also do well on the biggest stage and to also win some medals for their nation. And it's definitely going to be good for them, if you actually ask me.
Well, from that, I'd like this story. We'll go to this one that is sober at this point, because the world of golf has lost a star. Yes, Japan's most successful professional golfer, Masashi Jumbo Osaki, has died at the age of 78. His man was named Jumbo because of the length of the tee. And of course, he's won as many as 94 times for Japan. He's been on most of the country's merit list, 12 times a merit winner, and he was in the top 10 for nearly 200 weeks in world golf. How sad can the world of golf be at this point in time, because someone that was named into the Hall of Fame in 2011 has just passed on, Kelechi?
Someone who watches a lot of golf, or somebody who's actually been following golf for a long period of time, you should definitely know him very well. He's actually one of the very best, especially for his country, and he actually achieved a whole lot, and that's why he's also a Golf Hall of Famer. Like we talked about it 14 years ago. So it's sad news for anybody, and for his family as well. And I'm really glad he achieved what he actually achieved in just a short period of time. And I think you're also going to make mention of the fact that he actually switched from a different sport into playing golf as well. So he's someone I would say is very versatile, and in just his period of time, he was able to achieve participation that he actually did, and so many money he actually made for himself and for his nation. So it's a sad one. I'm definitely going to miss him in the long run.
Sad one that the world of golf will miss Osaki. Osaki, one man that had a distinction in carrying his chef along to every major golfing championship. Sushi enjoyed the Japanese cuisine so much that he didn't want to, even when he traveled outside of Japan to play golf, he always went along with his chef, and that was a trademark recognition for Osaki. Osaki is gone. I will pray his family and the people of Japan will find solace in the fact that he was well known in the world of golf. Well, let's go to football now. Talking about football, something big is happening on the local scene here in Nigeria. Kano Pillars, we understand, are set to make a return back to the Sani Abacha Stadium in Kano for their home matches in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Kelechi, Kano Pillars, following the crowd trouble, had been banned from Kano to Katsina, where they've played at least 3 of their last home games. Now they are returning back to Kano. Do we have assurances that there will be no ugly scenes of the home fans attacking visiting teams and the match officials?
It's good to have them back playing in their home, in front of their home fans, and there's no place like home. I know that they've been playing elsewhere, and that is due to the punishment they received from crowd trouble in this part of the world where fans can actually play a major role, disrupting games, beating up players, beating up officials. Is one of the punishments that they get, and it's well deserved as well. But having gone through all of that, I'm sure they've learned a whole lot from that experience. I think they are aware now that there are punishments for misbehavior, and absolutely they'll be glad to host their match in their home stadium. And we all know how difficult it is to win at Kano Pillars Stadium. Yes, they're having a bad season so far, but Kano Pillars definitely loves to play at home, and it's one place that when the fans are in their favor, it's difficult to play against them, difficult to beat them. We know how they've been successful over the years, but it's just it's disappointing that they've had a poor season or a poor couple of years as well. But Kano Pillars definitely relishing the return of games in their home fan, or with their home fans as well.
Well, talking about Kano Pillars, they will be in action this weekend against Nasarawa United, and we just hope that the fans will behave themselves and ensure that they don't see further ban from the Premier League football here in Nigeria. Let's take it up a little bit, and it's sharing news. In the course of the week, we were told that President Ahmed Bola Tinubu had approved awards and, of course, debts owed national teams to be paid. And Nigerian Super Falcons, we understand, will subsequently receive their certificate of honor and rewards for their efforts in football in the past. Falcons players will be presented with their certificates and accompanying rewards when they assemble for their next national assignment. Super Eagles players who are being owed their houses and other sums of nearly 100,000 US dollars each have been paid or given. Theirs have been given to them out there in Morocco. National Sports Commission doing what they are supposed to do, ensuring that the national teams stay motivated. Kelechi.
Yeah, absolutely. Money is always going to be a motivating factor for sports or for athletes, whether we like it or not. And so sometimes when you make promises, it actually boosts the players. And it was something that actually was a welcome development when they actually were promised houses and cars and money. And I know that people would say the money might be too much, but I think the most important thing is that the federal government actually fulfills its promise, and looking forward to seeing how it motivates them in the long run. And we all know how good they've actually been so far in tournaments as well. The Falcons have actually made Nigerians proud, and so they deserve it. And it's good that the promise has been fulfilled at this point.
Well, I will say congratulations to those that have already received, and those that will be receiving. The Super Eagles have received. Super Falcons is next, and we hope that it will go down to the basketball team as well. The Tigress, who were made promises to and haven't fulfilled their own part of winning international laurels, then whatever has been promised them should be given to them so that there will be no rancor amongst them. Now, let's quickly go to the African Cup of Nations. Kelechi, it is rest day today. All the teams, all 24 teams out there in Morocco are having a feel of Christmas after 4 days of competition. How will you rate the teams before we look at some of the matches that were played last night out there in Morocco? 4 days of competition, so far so good for you?
Yeah, so far so good if you ask me. It started with a banger. I remember the overhead kick that was scored in the first game for Morocco. It's actually been a wonderful atmosphere. I think the stadium and the facilities have been top notch, world class. Nine wonderful stadium. And this is all happened in Africa from the opening ceremony and so far the games as well. There's been goals in every single game. We've not had any name draw so far. And I would say that's up to expectation. I think that the whole world is also watching to see what the tournament is all about, and I'm sure they have an idea now. There's been red card, there's been everything, penalties as well. So yeah, so far so good if you ask me.
So far, so good. There has been goals in most of the ties, and but it looks to me like the lesser teams or the relatively unknown teams have not been able to score goals after one game concluded in their group. Sudan couldn't score last night. We know that Equatorial Guinea as well, they managed to score a goal. But talk about teams that couldn't score: Sudan, Mozambique, and of course, are you surprised that? Sudan could not score, Mozambique could not score. Gabon as well, the Zingo Stars of Gabon could not score last night. Cameroon beat them by one.
I'm not surprised.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Okay, I'm not surprised. Gabon actually lost to Cameroon yesterday. I think, like you said, there have been teams that failed to score. Even Benin Republic, Sudan, some of the teams that actually played yesterday, they failed to score. I know that Africa is a very can be African football can be really really difficult and compressed because it's more defensive, and so you hardly see some goals as well if you actually pay attention to the way Africans play. But I think some of these teams will be looking forward to seeing how they can find the back of the net in the next game, and it sometimes can be really difficult to get on the score sheet.
How difficult was it for Ivory Coast to score only one against Mozambique? Everybody thought that as former champions, they should put Mozambique in a place.
It was a difficult game. I expected Ivory Coast to win that game comfortably, and 1-0 was actually not a healthy scoreline, but the most important thing is that they got the job done. Mozambique actually gave a good run for themselves, and they had a good game. Ivory Coast were always going to be favourites against them, and I think it just tells you how well prepared some of these teams are. They actually frustrate you, and you have to take your chances, and Ivory Coast just needed one chance to get all 3 points, and so it's disappointing maybe disappointing result for Ivory Coast, but the most important thing is that the 3 points is what they got at the end of the day. But we expect them to at least win that game by nothing less than 3 goals.
Talking about 3 goals reminds me of the encounter between Algeria and Sudan. The Algerians purely made a class statement, 3 goals past Sudanese, and that is the way you see the Desert Warriors play their football. They score goals, and that's what they did against Sudan.
Yeah, absolutely. Riyad Mahrez was actually brilliant. Of course, someone who well know that he actually can lead his Algerian side to glory. He's actually shown that in the first game, scoring a brace. I think he's already the highest goal scorer so far. That red card that Sudan got early in the first half also played a huge part in them losing by 3 goals. But you will take nothing away from Algeria. They were always going to win that game, and 3 goals now gives them a very, very good position to actually qualify to the next stage. And so I expect them to progress and to continue this fashion because they've got wonderful players all around the department, apart from Real Mahrez.
Okay, like I mentioned earlier, it's a rest day after 4 days of competition. I think for purposes of Christmas, all the 24 teams out there will have to rest. We've seen the Super Eagles of Nigeria in their first match against the Taifa Stars of Tanzania. Of course, they won all 3 points. Some people believe that the team was not very convincing. Head coach of the team, Eric Shell, has admitted he made some poor decisions despite that 2-1 victory over their counterparts from Tanzania. Do you agree that the man you see on your screen there made mistakes? Good enough for 3 points, but he believes that he can do better.
I believe he can actually do better. I was really not surprised when he said he made mistakes. We can see that there were lapses at certain points in the game. There were some actually the defensive, or would I say late push from Tanzania to even equalize or find an equalizer. And so I think one thing the Spiders under Richard needs to learn is game management, knowing how to control the ball and to control the game, not put yourself under unnecessary pressure, especially against lesser teams like Tanzania. And so for the lineup, the starting lineup, I didn't really fault it. I like the lineup that he actually used, and he can actually repeat the same lineup or even maybe tweak some changes. But for Eric Shelley, I wonder the mistake he was actually referring to, because he didn't come out clean to say which mistake he actually made. I don't know if it is from the substitutions or the starting lineup. But the most important thing is that they got the way against Tanzania, but somehow there was pressure in the end. But it's something that they can learn from as well.
Well, let's wrap up the show now because of time. And it is now known that the Carabao Cup semi-final fixtures between Arsenal and Chelsea is most talked about. What do you make of that fixture after Arsenal struggled, courtesy of that 8-7 penalty win over their counterparts from Palace? Do you see what are your expectations in the semi-final, Arsenal versus Chelsea?
It's definitely going to be a difficult game. We all know how difficult Arsenal Chelsea games can be. We've already seen one this season where it ended 1-0, even Chelsea holding Arsenal to 1 point, despite being shortened by a red card to Moses Caicedo. So Chelsea will be looking to getting one over Arsenal, and I think Arsenal also want to get one over Chelsea. And so many players have left Chelsea to Arsenal. I'm talking about Kepa Arrizabalaga and Noni Madueke. These are two players, even Kai Havertz 2 seasons ago. So these are games that you expect someone to get one over their former rivals or their former who progresses, if you ask me. It depends on how serious Arsenal takes the game, because sometimes when it comes to lesser competition like Carabao Cup, Arteta likes to bring in lots of changes and to use the second team. But even Arsenal's second team is a good team, and Chelsea takes them games like this year. So it's definitely going to be, it can go either way. So I really don't know what to expect. But the only thing that you expect is that it's going to be a wonderful game to watch.
Chelsea and Arsenal in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. The other pairing will be Newcastle and Manchester City. Well, I think we've run out of time now. Kelechi, thank you very much for being part of the show. I'm sure I'll be a visitor to you for Christmas rice and chicken.
Yeah, thank you for having me as well. No problem.
Many thanks. And of course, Merry Christmas to millions of our viewers around the world. We'll right back at 6 p.m. Nigerian time for Sports Extraordinary, when we'll take a complete review of first round of matches that were played and have been played so far in Morocco for the African Cup of Nations that is into its 35th edition. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always stay here on Atlantic Television Network. Merry Christmas.